Hi, I'm Joe, and today I've got another BlueBrixx car to show you. This one is very similar to the American sports car that I did just a few days ago, and it's from BlueBrixx. It comes in a plain brown box and just has this label to identify it as something there in German, but on the website it just calls it Classic 2-in-1 Sports Car, meaning essentially you can show it as a convertible or with the top up. And because the car was green, I assumed it was some type of British car. And based on a little bit of research and Googling, I believe this is meant to be a representation of a Jaguar E-Type, which we'll see here. The front grille is what gives me that impression. But we'll look at more of the details in just a minute. The build for this car was a very similar experience to the Camaro-like car in that there were no numbered bags. The instructions were all digital. There were some challenges in the digital instructions, and there actually were some inaccuracies, just very, very minor. One thing that I noticed is the digital instructions show these 1x1 bricks as having solid studs on top, but the pieces that actually come with the kit have hollow studs on top. So that's just a little bit disorienting when you're following the instructions. There also were some issues in the digital instructions where you can't see everywhere you're supposed to put the pieces on in each step. And there also were some more challenges in the build, which I'll get to in a minute. Some of them are the same as I've experienced doing Star Trek ships. And some were just unusual in that, like, you do step one and then to do step two, you had to undo step one. But still, it wasn't too bad to build. This one was a much more interesting build than the Camaro was. A lot more interesting part usage in here. And I think it's a great little model. So let's take a closer look. So obviously, this model is in the convertible configuration, but the first 90% of the build is the same no matter which way you do it. And then when you get to the end, you have two choices: build it with the hard top or as a convertible, or as the way BlueBrixx describes it, the hardtop is what they call the coupe, and the convertible is what they call the roadster. The whole outside of the model is in green. Almost all of the inside is in black. There are some gray accents here. We'll start with the front, where you've got these two clear 2x2 pieces to simulate the headlights. That's probably the part that looks least like the Jaguar, because the Jaguar headlights, they're recessed into the body, and these are not. But I think you get the idea, though. You've got these two pieces here that are like wheel well pieces that are inverted on each other. This is being held together by the technique that BlueBrixx uses, where they have the little beads that you stick in between or in the underside of the piece to make it work as an anti-stud, so that you can do anti-stud to anti-stud connections that way. The bumper here has two of these ice skate pieces in pearl gray, or what BlueBrixx calls flat silver. And there's quite a bit of those flat silver elements in here for unusual pieces, which is kind of interesting. When we get to the side, there's not a whole lot that's distinctive here, other than the door has one of these horn pieces also in flat silver, and the door compared to that Camaro is just really, really small. But it works fairly nicely. It only uses two of these hinge plates to keep the door on, but it works pretty well, and it's kind of a snug fit, but satisfying when you get that pushed in, and fits much more flush with the side of the car than the Camaro did. These pieces here, they're just kind of space fillers. They're not connected to anything. In the back, we have a similar bumper here with the ice skates. Our taillights are just these 1x1 tiles in translucent red and orange, and I don't even know what you call that shape. The trunk does open. There's nothing in it, but it's nice and smoothed out with those tiles in dark tan. Right side of the car, same as the left side. door works the same. If we look here inside where the driver sits, and this being a British car, the wheel is on the right side of the car, and you can see at the bottom there you've got your pedals, which are also in that pearl gray flat silver color, along with the dials on the dashboard. The shifter here, I mean, it does move, it doesn't do anything. There's no steering or any other mechanisms in the car. And you've even got the parking brake lever represented there. This is only a two-seater car. The seats do rotate, and the seats, you know, they're not ejector seats like in the James Bond car, but they do come out pretty easy because they're only held on, I don't know if you can see in there, by two 2x2 jumper plates. So as I was working on the model, these things kept popping off. So I guess you better behave yourself while you're riding in this car. We have rear view mirrors similar in style to what the Aston Martin had, except these are just in light bluish gray. And we actually have windshield wipers here with these shifting levers. And the hood opens up. And it opens up very nicely to where we can see we have quite a bit of engine built up in here. This is a mix of mostly light bluish gray and those flat silver parts. I don't know if you can tell which color is which. Like the middle, those 6 tiles in the middle, those are all just plain gray, but all the bars to the side, those are all in the flat silver. The binocular pieces that are up here in the front are in flat silver. You've got the ring piece here. This is like the Lord of the Rings one ring. That's in flat silver. And you've got a lot of these roller skate pieces in here, both in the engine and off to the side, being used to represent the works. And I think at this point I should probably stop talking about the engine because, as I've said many times before, I know nothing about how cars work, but I feel like this is a lot of good detail under the hood, especially for a brick-built car. And the hood snaps down pretty easily. So here's the coupe version of the car, where we've got the hard top, and instead of the lower trunk lid, we actually have what looks more like a hatchback, except this doesn't actually open. It just has the 3 clear pieces there to serve as the rear window. And, you know, if that's what you prefer, that's fine. It's not what I prefer. And one of the things that I think looks really odd is this gap here, this triangle-shaped gap that opens to what exactly, I'm not sure. But I will probably undo this and put it back to the convertible configuration as soon as we're done here. But one cool thing, though, is the conversion from convertible to this only took about 10 minutes. And actually, you can do it with the pieces in the model that were not used in the convertible configuration. So you actually have enough pieces to build both models without having to unbuild anything or reuse parts that go into each build, which is unlike, say, a Creator 3-in-1, which builds 3 models, but you have to unbuild each model to be able to build the other. So that's positive that it has going for it. And one other thing I wanted to mention that I forgot to mention before I converted the car was one of the challenges during the build had to do with some of this underbody detail, which, you know, it's nice that it actually has some underbody detail, where you've got what looks like these dual exhaust systems. But if I hold it to the side, you can see that those axles and exhaust parts actually stick out from the bottom. So if I don't have the wheels on the model, which is how it normally goes mid-build, I can't set the model flat on a table. And those pieces to make the exhaust actually are assembled very, very early in the process before you even have axles to put wheels on. So because they're on there the whole time, and you're still doing a lot of plate-on-plate construction, you end up having to hold the bottom of the model with one hand while you press down with the other, so you don't keep bending those axles over and over. Okay, now it's comparison time. So since these are both BlueBrixx models, I'm just going to compare them to each other. And at first glance, they don't look that different in size, and their piece counts are very similar. But This one actually is quite a bit smaller, and it does have a similar piece count, but a lot of those pieces are smaller. If I line them up side by side with the back bumpers even, we can see that the yellow car is just a little bit longer, maybe one or two studs. And I really thought the yellow car was going to be taller, but the height is pretty comparable. But you can also see their positioning of where the seats are in the car. Like in the Jaguar, they're much farther back, but there's only two seats. There's no back seat the way the Camaro has. Width-wise, these are both 14 studs wide, so that seems to be pretty standard with the Icons cars. So I like both of these, and I'm glad I have them, but I definitely like this one better, with the caveat being that I like it better when it's in the convertible configuration. Because that open gap in the back, it just seems wrong. So I'm going to revert this back to the convertible configuration for display. Thanks for watching my video about this BlueBrixx car. I really enjoyed building this. I thought this was a much more enjoyable build than the Camaro was, just because it's got a lot more character to it, a lot more different unique parts, and just unique building techniques. And I think it's a really good value at 40 euros. Although I can't readily translate that to American dollars because of exchange rate and VAT and shipping. But no matter how you calculate it, it's going to come out less than buying a Lego car of the same volume. I'll have some more vehicles to build later this year, but I'm going to take a pause on that. And most of my videos for the rest of summer are going to focus on space, whether it's completing videos about my Star Trek collection or getting into the history of space exploration. So until next time, remember, today is a good day to build.